A perfect place to meet young girls might just be the perfect place to die. Welcome to I Hope You Suffer.
What?
It's
weird.
So dumb.
It's like a high school slasher film.
Just
Matthew McConaughey's the killer.
Wait till you hear the rest of them. This is episode 21 of I Hope You Suffer. My name is Nathan.
I'm Kit.
And this week we watched Sleepaway Camp from 1983. Paul from Twilight Fauna was going to be on here, but then he had some stuff come up and had to cancel, which we're going to get him on here eventually. So this movie, I'm going to drop a bombshell on here and just piss off all of the horror community.
No.
I think every time I rewatch this, I like it a little less.
Damn.
I don't like something about watching it this time. I was just kind of like, I don't want to watch this anymore.
I think I'm the opposite, and I like it more every time I watch it, but I also feel really bad about myself for liking it as much as I do, because it is a very problematic film.
Like, there are things in this movie that, like, I love. But, like, I don't know. I think as a whole, I just kind of, like, the more and more I've rewatched it, I'm just kind of like, I don't really feel like I need to ever watch this again.
It's a very generic, like, slasher film. And it's really just the last, like, minute and a half that's like, whoa, yeah. What?
I think the only reason anybody...
That's the whole reason it became a thing,
yeah.
Is the ending.
Which, like, I feel like I shouldn't have
Which is now, like, the worst part of the film. Like, in retrospect, it's like, Jesus Christ.
Like, I feel like I shouldn't have to give a spoiler warning for a movie from 1983. Especially, like, I feel like if you're listening If you're listening to horror podcasts, you probably are very aware of Sleepaway Camp, but that's just spoiler because the ending is nuts.
Oh my god! I can't even put it into words.
I don't even think it's like the idea of what like the ending is doesn't make me uncomfortable. I guess it's like that freeze frame for the entire credits. I'm just like, God, I don't want to look at this anymore.
that screaming face.
Yes, and then it's all the weird like grunts and shit. Like, I don't know, it bums me out.
That weird heavy breathing.
Yeah, all of like everything about the ending is just weird and uncomfortable.
Yes, literally every moment. I guess is good for a horror movie, but in all of the wrong ways on this one.
It's just weird that like I want to know the like the reasoning behind like the weird grunts and then like why. Like, I get it that it's like a mask at the end, I guess, but like it's just weird. Like there's this blank screaming face that just freezes like that. But like it's so weird. I kind of want to just, like, I want to hear an audio commentary or some shit where just, like, the director explaining all of the reasoning behind everything in this movie.
Is there audio commentary on this movie? Like, on any of the releases?
Like, I found
I'm
that, like...
very curious to hear it.
I found the box set at one point, but it was, like, $40 or $50, and I was like, I'm not buying this, and I wish I would have, because then apparently it got, like, recalled or some shit because, like, the Red Cross sued them because of like the packaging. But
what the fuck?
Because it was like it looked like a first aid kit or something.
Oh, okay.
I also didn't realize that there was apparently a fifth like movie in this. Because I've seen the first
three.
I've seen the first four, and then there's a Return to Sleepaway Camp from like 2008, I think it said.
What the shit?
Yeah. All of the sequels are pretty dumb, though. from what I remember.
All I remember is the cover to, I can't remember if it's 2 or 3, where Angela's on the cover and you see a hockey mask on the backpack and then Freddy's glove.
Yeah. So the taglines for this movie are incredible. The one at the beginning was pretty much the only halfway decent one, but still is ridiculous. You have, "You won't be coming home." "Sleepaway Camp has never been so scary." "A nice place for summer vacation, a perfect place to die." And just Carrie meets Friday the 13th.
What?
Yeah. That's pretty good one. The only thing I can only imagine that has to be like a DVD or something tagline.
When did Sleepaway Camp come out?
83.
Okay.
So it's probably like Friday the 13th Part 2 maybe had been out by that point.
Yeah, 2 or 3. I want to say, because Friday the 13th itself got to Carrie meets Friday the 13th.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say that, like, other than the fact that there's just, like, teenagers, there's not really any kind of Carrie connection in this, like, whatsoever.
I guess it's just they're picking on a woman and she murders everyone.
This movie does have, like, maybe my favorite line in any movie ever. That, like...
I guess it.
Go ahead.
Eat shit and live.
Yes, it's so fucking good.
My personal highlight.
Yes, that's the best part of the movie. Especially, like, the fucking delivery. I guess, like, that kid they cast by just making him curse at the director. Since that's pretty much all his role is. It's just yelling Angela and then cursing a bunch.
You tell me I could have been an actor this whole time.
Yeah, you just gotta find the right person, like, hiring.
I feel like I'm a pretty proficient swearer.
So, this movie was directed and written by Robert Hiltzig, who I believe directed all 5 of the Sleepaway Camps, which is, like, if I remember correctly when I was, like, looking up stuff about this, because it was a couple days ago, I think that was, like, pretty much all of his directing credits were just Sleepaway Camp.
He's just in it for Sleepaway Camp.
Well,
That's
then,
it.
like, a lot of the people, like Felissa Rose, who plays Angela, like, she did Sleepaway Camp, and then maybe a couple other things, and they just had, like, a gap from, like, 1990 to, like, 2005 or something. And there's, like, a lot of credits like that for people in this movie. And then a lot of people where this was, like, the only thing they did.
I admire that they are just dedicated to Sleepaway Camp.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of people that were, like...
There's nothing else. Like, that's all I want to act in is Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah. They're like, they pretty
Sleepaway
much...
Camp in space. Where is that?
That's number 6.
Why is that not a thing?
That would be... Every movie would just be better if it went to space.
I'm saying.
Like...
Sleepaway Camp in the Arctic would be pretty dope.
Sleepaway Camp on the NASCAR circuit.
Sleepaway Camp beats Tremors.
Sleepaway Camp on Safari. Just take every idea that Jason X was supposed to be and turn it into a sequel for every other movie, and it works.
Absolutely.
So yeah, this movie stars Felissa Rose as Angela, Jonathan Tiersten as Ricky, Karen Fields as Judy, Christopher Collette as Paul, who apparently has, like, a pretty prolific career as, like, a voiceover actor. And Mike Kellen as Mel, who died, like, right before this movie came out. Like, I guess the entire time he was filming this movie, he was, like, dying of lung cancer and just, like, didn't tell anybody.
Shit. That's a hell of a note to go out on.
Yeah. One of the interesting...
When I die, put me in a Sleepaway Camp film. Preferably Space or Safari.
Yes. I will make that happen. That's my promise to you.
This is legal now. I said it. It's recorded and on the internet.
That's the only the only way people get hired in movies is they're just like, I want to be in this and I'm dying. It's all just make a wish.
Yeah.
So one of the interesting things, the character of Judy, Jane Krakowski, was originally cast to play her, who is she was on 30 Rock.
Okay.
She's in like a lot of stuff. I know her mostly from 30 Rock and Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt because I'm obsessed with 30 Rock. I legit think that might be the best show ever made, but I know I'm in a minority there. Which would have been interesting. I think it was like the first thing she was actually cast in. I don't know why she didn't stay, but this movie was made for $350,000.
Oh,
and
shit.
in the US made $11 million.
What?
Like, this movie was a massive success. But I'm
Weird.
guessing because people went and saw it and were just like, this ending is fucked up, so everybody else went to see it.
That's all it was. There's word of mouth. All their friends are like, you just go in and watch the ending.
Which would be... I wish that's how people talked about movies now, instead of just being like, go see The Sixth Sense, Bruce Willis is actually dead. And you're just like, well, why the fuck would I go see it now?
Yeah. You ruiner.
Go see Titanic, it sinks. So, diving into this movie, you get like the opening credits at the beginning with just like a bunch of footage of camp and fucking just bullshit people talking, and I guess what's supposed to be like camp ambient noise for it, which drove me crazy. But the real opening scene of this movie still boggles my mind, like almost everything else in it, which is there's some people water skiing that are at this camp, and like the one girl that's actually skiing doesn't want to be skiing. The people in the boat are absolutely terrible, which I think one of them is like a camp counselor and the other one's just like a girl at the camp.
I just assume anyone that is willing to drive a boat is a horrible person.
Absolutely.
Sorry, boat people listeners, you're the worst.
I don't apologize. You're the worst.
Get off my boat.
He lets her drive, and there's also like a dad with his son and daughter on a little kind of like sailboat, and they like the kids like play a joke on the dad and push him in the water, but as he goes over, he tips the boat over, so they're all like in the water splashing each other as this fucking speedboat is just barreling down towards them.
It's a really shitty joke.
Yes, he's had like shorts
Get
on.
better at pranks, kids.
Probably got all of his money wet. So now they're not getting ice
Lost
cream.
his wallet.
The speedboat just like crashes into everybody and kills the dad and one of the kids. But I still like the relationship with the dad and whoever this other guy is.
Yeah.
Like I understand that they're in some sort of relationship, but is one of them married to the mom that is like Ricky's mom?
Maybe?
There's like
it was not clear to me at all. But other than that one dude's reaction, they cut to his reaction shot and it's perfect. That's all I know.
And the girl in the water that was water skiing that's just screaming.
I wish I could
attach
a picture to this, like, of just that dude's face. Where he's like,
It's awesome. Like the movies in like the 80s that when they just cut to like reactions of people, but they sit on them for way too long. It's pretty great. I don't know, like everything about this, like the dad and
out of nowhere and just like, what was that?
Yeah, and it's just because like that's like Angela has like a flashback later of like the dad and this dude in bed, but like I don't understand who takes in Angela, like who this mom is, like in relationship to her. Like none of this part like makes any sense to me. And I listened to like the How Did This Get Made podcast on it, and like for like literally like the first 40 minutes of this like hour something podcast, that's all they did was try and figure out like this relationship.
Because what, she's taken in by her aunt, right?
Yeah, and so like I don't know, like I don't understand the relationship with like the aunt who was Ricky's mom, and then these two dudes, like, because like one of them yells something about like the dock when they're like on the boat, or like they're getting ready to get hit by the boat. I don't know, it's all weird.
Paul, we were gonna have you explain this to us, so you lucked out.
Yeah. Paul was just like, I don't know. I just like watching people get stabbed through a shower.
Who doesn't?
The deaths in this movie are crazy. So after this opening scene, you cut to 8 years later. Ricky and Angela are dealing with the mom, who is the weirdest actor on the planet.
Very strange. Fantastic fashion sense.
Another agreed. I would like to know the story behind the decision on how this mom is going to be in this movie, because it is insane. Very over the top. But
everyone's crazy drunk aunt.
It's
all rolled into one.
And she's a doctor. Like
I don't know of what.
Because she gives them like
Doctor of Sweet Hats.
Yes, that hat is pretty dope.
Got her doctorate in gloveology.
Because she gives them like physical notices to like get them into camp or whatever. But they're going to Camp Arawak. Not totally sure how that's supposed to be pronounced, but and as they show up to camp, you get this scene of just kids like furiously like running, and like camp counselors and Mel screaming at them.
Creepy and weird.
And I was just like, this is the most inefficient way to like organize kids into this camp. They're just like, you go here, you go here, you go here. As kids are just like streaming by them. But you also get introduced to Artie, who is the worst character of all time. With the what does he say? The fresh chickens.
The baldies, yeah.
He calls them baldies too. Super gross.
He's very clearly interested in these kids, and like the other counselor's like not like, that's fucking weird. Why are you doing this? He's just like, they're too young to like know what you're thinking.
Oh, Artie.
Yeah, it's like what?
Yeah, it's real weird, and like this actor, this is the only thing he ever did.
Which makes sense.
Because he is in jail.
I assume he got arrested for this. Yeah, like the guy he's with goes, Artie, they're too young to even understand what's on your mind. And Artie goes, there ain't no such thing as being too young. You're just too old. Which is the creepiest fucking thing I've ever heard.
Oh, God, that's so terrible. I mean, I guess I understand why he works at one of these camps, but
oh god,
fucked up. You're introduced to Paul. Like, Ricky has gone to this camp years prior, so he knows.
He lives at the camp. He's never left.
I think he spends his summer at the house and then just goes lives at the camp the rest of the year. So you're introduced to Paul and Judy, who Judy fucking sucks. Judy and like Ricky had some sort of relationship the summer before. Paul makes a comment about her boobs being big now, and like another terrible acting. You cut to what I guess is supposed to be 3 days later, and everybody like eating lunch, and Angela has not talked or eaten in 3 days, which seems very
Not
crazy. Ronnie, the kind of like head camp counselor, just is like, okay, well, I'm gonna, I'll take Angela to the kitchen and get her, like, we'll find her something she'll eat, and introduces her to Artie, who immediately takes her into the back room and tries to fuck her.
Oh my god.
It's super gross. And Ricky comes in, Justin.
He says some shit about, like, nobody has to know about what goes on in the back room, or some weird old guy shit like that.
It should also be stated that at this point, all Angela has done is just stare.
Yes.
Which I guess, like, her audition was pretty much the director just had her, like, creepily stare at him. And I guess that's both, like, a good part of, like, how she got the job. But Artie is, like, unzipping his pants and taking off his belt as Ricky comes in. And, like, he starts yelling at Ricky. And Ricky's like, I didn't see anything. I won't tell anybody. And as, like, Ricky's running out, Artie punches a box. Because he's angry he didn't get laid. It's super gross.
Jesus.
Oh, Paul.
Like, I forget about that. This? I forget about that every time, and it happens, and I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, what is this movie?
It's like, I mean, I'm assuming this is what sleepaway camps were like in the 80s.
I fucking hope not, Christ.
I guarantee you that's, like, based off at least some news story.
At least
that's happened at least once.
At least Artie gets a very swift comeuppance.
Oh yeah, because you immediately.
It's horrible and so deserved.
Oh yeah,
obviously.
And the effect on it is actually pretty awesome as well. But you cut to Artie using the biggest pot I think I've ever seen in my life to boil corn. It's like, I think you would fit in that entire pot standing up.
I would 100% like fit in that. I could live in that pot, like, comfortably.
Because it's like Artie looks. Granted, like, every time you see him, he's like with, like, kids, but I mean, he looks like he's probably about 6 foot tall, and this pot is like almost
like up to his chest.
Fucking body. It's crazy. But he's like boiling water to like, I guess, cook corn for the camp. And as he's standing on a step stool, like, putting, like, salt in the water, and as he's doing that, you see a hand push him, and as he's, like, leaned over this, like, pot and, like, holding onto a shelf, the hands grab the stool he's on and pull it away, and as he falls, he pulls the pot of boiling water on him, and you get, like, a shot of just his face as he's screaming, and, like, I guess the
all of the boiled skin, like, peeling off.
Like, they made, like, the effect on it is kind of rules because they made it so they made, like, the boils or whatever, but then, like, they were pumping in, like, somehow, I don't know how they did this, but, like, pumping in, like, this, like, kind of, like, opaque liquid into them, so you actually see them fill as they're there.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Like, it's, considering everything else in this movie, all the other effects are kind of real terrible. This one actually looks pretty good.
One thing that I love is the camera lingers on him laying there just screaming for, like, 30 seconds, like, an uncomfortable amount of time, and you're like, Jesus, and then you realize that he's a horrible pedophile, and then it's like, alright, now go ahead and keep showing him boiling alive, please.
Oh, yeah. There's zero point in it that I'm like, I feel bad for this guy. The entire time I'm just like, I just wish I didn't have to fucking hear him scream for this long.
Just muting the TV.
It just, like...
Suffer in silence.
There's a couple things in this movie, like the beginning with the skier that's screaming, and then this, where I'm just like, this is just entirely too long to just have somebody screaming. I also wrote down that you get killer vision, because you get a bunch of scenes starting in this one where you just see, like, the point of view of the killer. So the police, or an ambulance shows up, and like a police officer, and Mel, this is the first time you see that like something happens and he's trying to hide what happened from like the kids so they don't tell their parents because then they won't send them to this camp again. Mel is a very terrible camp owner.
Yes.
You got
everything's an accident.
Yes.
That's just an accident. That's just an accident. Don't worry about it.
Until he eventually just fucking loses his mind at the end. You cut to like the boys' like bunks, and they're playing a practical joke on this Mozart kid, where they have him like he's like laying on the ground with like a washcloth over his face, and I can't remember what they're telling him to do, but they tell him like something happens where they tell him to like lean up real quick, and as he does, he just smashes his face into like the bare ass of some other kid, which is so dumb.
Classic young boy prank.
I have never heard of this prank before this movie, so I don't know if this was a thing that was happening in like 1983. I was one.
Sleepaway camps all over the country.
This Mozart kid just gets fucking like bullied this entire fucking movie every time you see him.
The whole time.
They are like somebody comes in like right after this happens, like some sort of older teenager, maybe early 20s camp counselor, and all the boys are going to go play a baseball game where you get the best part of the movie and classic line of some dude at like home plate yells, "Eat shit and die, Ricky," and Ricky says, "Eat shit and live, Billy." And it fucking rules. I don't.
He says it like with such disinterest too, like he's heard it 1,000 times. Like eat shit and die. So it's like, eat shit and live, Bill. Fuck off. Like, it's so good.
This baseball game is awesome too, because then you have Mozart out in the outfield playing like the oldest looking handheld game I've ever seen. Like, I remember games from kind of like 85-ish, 86, and like they were light years ahead of what this game looked like. It's crazy. So this is, I guess, where you kind of get like the first glimpse of like, I guess, the bullies of the boys' side of the camp, which are just kind of a bunch of fucking dudes in like Blue Oyster Cult t-shirts and shit. They're the rockers of this camp.
I refuse to believe that anyone in a Blue Oyster Cult shirt is the one doing the bullying.
I don't know. I feel like that was probably pretty common in the 80s. I've seen
Too hard for you, bro.
I've seen Revenge. Too hard for you. You don't get it. The hardest shit, Blue Oyster Cult. After this baseball game, you cut to the rec hall where everybody's just gathered for a reason that is never really... everyone's just there hanging out.
What else do you do at Sleepaway Camp?
Sleep, I would assume. Is that the point?
That's all you do. You just go and sleep. Fuck everything else.
That's what I would do.
They shouldn't even have been playing baseball earlier.
That's all.
They're breaking curfew at 2 in the afternoon.
That's all I try and do when I'm at home, let alone if I'm going to a sleepaway camp. A bunch of the like the older like the bully dudes from the baseball team are like trying to convince a bunch of girls to go skinny dipping, and they see Angela and they're like, "Well, we'll invite her." And go over and start fucking with Angela, and since she won't respond, they just start like harassing her. Ricky shows up and gets in a fight with Kenny, who was like the dude in the Blue Oyster Cult shirt, and they get pulled apart, and like you know, Kenny gets sent out or Ricky gets sent out. Somebody leaves. Paul and Angela start talking, and Angela finally says something and says goodnight to Paul. Judy sees all this, and for some reason is just like fumingly jealous of Angela, like all this
unbelievable. She said her first word to you.
Yeah. So after this, you get like all the dudes and like some of the women on this beach. And the dudes are trying to convince them to all go skinny dipping, and they say no. So they're just like, "Fuck it, we're going by ourselves." So like a group of like 12 dudes just get nude and jump into the water. Kenny and Leslie, one of the girls from this camp, take a boat out into the lake. And, like, Kenny is just being a typical teenage douchebag boy, and, like...
Being a real Kenny.
Yeah. Is, like, talking about fucking snakes and something, like, biting her hand if she puts it in the water, and he flips them over, she gets pissed off and swims back to shore. This whole fucking part makes zero sense to me. So, like, the boat's flipped over, and he gets under it, and while he's under it, like, a head pops up, which is the killer, and, like, he gets drowned. But, like, I have no idea how in, like, the middle of night, in the middle of nowhere, where there's no real lights on, she's able to swim directly and, like, to this boat and under it, and just pop up perfectly under it. Like, it makes zero sense. Like,
I would have literally never ever questioned that in my whole life until you brought it up.
I don't know why I see things like this and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. This is fucking... There's no truth in this art.
It's all lies. You fed me lies, Sleepaway Camp.
I thought this was a documentary. I don't. Paul's back here staring at himself in a picture. I don't know what's happening. I think my house is haunted. I just turned around and he's just like staring at like his reflection in some like framed poster.
Come play with us, Paul.
So the next morning, you get this fucking awesome scene of one of the camp counselors showing up to like the beach, and it's all wrecked, and he's just like screaming and throwing chairs. And one of the times he throws the chairs, he like trips over and like it's pretty awesome. And he sees, like, in the distance, he sees the boat, like, up on the dock, like, on the shore. And he's just like, how the fuck did this get here? Starts, like, storming over to it and flips it over and finds Kenny's dead body with a snake coming out of its mouth.
Which will never not be cool.
Nope. That's always pretty awesome.
Second request, when I die, please have a snake come out of my corpse.
Fill your head with snakes.
Yes. A bunch of baby ones or one large one. Your choice. I don't care. I'll be dead.
If it's a large one, it has to like go in and out of like the eye sockets and out of the mouth.
Yes,
if it's small
absolutely.
ones, they just all come out like your Medusa.
I'll leave a chunk of money set aside to pay the embalmer to do that.
Just don't embalm me. Just fill me with snakes.
Embalm everything. Scoop out my eyes with like an ice cream scooper and jam a snake in there.
Leave the casket open so at like the funeral they just all burst out. It'd be so metal.
Someone walks up, ah! Snake comes out of the casket.
Oh god, that would be amazing. I need to go. I want to go to one funeral ever where that happens now.
I'm so upset I won't be around to see it.
We could. Well. trying to think how we could do this.
In the afterlife.
I'm like, I've seen the movie Flatliners. How can we make this?
I don't want to have to come back after having the snake in my skull.
Oh,
that
dude,
sounds horrible.
It'd be awesome. You would be famous forever. Be on like every talk shows, like fucking Snake Dude. Oh, what is happening?
Folks, we got a little sidetracked.
Yeah. So, Kenny's body is found. As the ambulance and police are there, Mel is again like, oh, it was just an accident, blah, 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 blah. No need to tell anybody about it. Ronnie, the one good camp counselor there, is just like, I'm pretty sure he was a good swimmer, so I don't think this was an accident, but whatever.
He's a detective.
Yes. That's That would have been the bet. Like the sequel should have just been him becoming a detective,
Solving mysteries all around camp.
You get a scene of Paul showing up at like the women's volleyball game and talking to Angela, and Judy gets all pissed off again and sends Meg, who was like the head of like the girls' bunk, over to like shoo him away. And they just fuck with Angela for a minute. Judy's just being all pissed off. Paul... what is this? Paul and Angela... it's for some reason, I can't remember if something happens between this, but they are like walking back to the bunks together. And like Paul kisses her and she's like having none of it. She's just like completely caught off guard. It's like, I gotta go, bye. As Paul's walking away, Judy walks up and starts flirting with Paul, setting up the betrayal to come.
Dun dun.
You get another scene of like everybody up at like the beach, and Angela not swimming, and Paul comes up and plays Guess Who with her, and she's just like, Ricky? And she guesses like somebody else that was like completely like ludicrous. Again, you get Judy and Meg being shitty to her and like just harassing her because she won't swim and she won't answer them or like talk to them or whatever. As she goes like walking back to, I guess, where her like bunks at, there's a bunch of dudes having a water balloon fight on the roof of one of the fucking little cabin things, which...
The 80s were safe.
There's like...
80s were safe as fuck.
Nobody here is fucking watching these kids.
All of these camp counselors are doing a piss-poor job.
Considering like one of the people on top of this fucking thing is a camp counselor, like...
They're having water balloon fights on roofs. They're letting all the kids get murdered. Like,
yeah.
There's no supervision here.
They like hit Angela with a balloon, and Ricky goes fucking ballistic. Starts like
snapped. Oh my god.
He's like trying to fight like 10 dudes on this roof. Paul like Mel shows up and like breaks up all this fucking like Ricky screaming and
just swearing, just nonstop swear words. They're not even threats.
Like I know at one point he's like, I'll fight all of you cocksucker fucking fight motherfuckers, like just screaming at him, but it like makes no sense. Mel shows up, breaks it up, and like Paul and Ricky like help Angela like I guess back to her bunk. This is when you get the like another fucking crazy death where the dude that hit her with the water balloon is like shows back up to his cabin and like I guess like all the dudes are getting ready to go play another baseball game, and the dude's like, I gotta take a wicked dump, I'll meet you back out there.
Just glad I'm not the only one who says he needs to take a wicked dump.
It's
the only way I describe my dumps.
I really hope this is where that term came from. As he is like taking his wicked dump, the killer like cuts open the screen behind the toilet and just like dumps a beehive on him after like locking him in the fucking stall door.
It's so awesome.
It's pretty great.
Like what a vicious thing to do.
I can't even imagine how shitty that would be.
How do you get the beehive over there without having the bees all fly out already?
I have no idea.
That's my question. More so than the perfectly swimming underneath a upside down canoe thing. How do you not disturb a shitload of bees?
My logic is that she just like it was right next to the cabin, and she like broke the stick off, so it didn't really like she had to like. No, I guess that would make sense because she drops the beehive on him. I don't know.
I'm gonna say the killer is part bee and is communicating
Ooh.
with them.
So you're saying this is a tie-in to Invasion of the Bee Girls?
Maybe. It turns out that this is actually Sleepaway Camp.
Oh.
That was a terrible joke. I'm sorry, everyone.
The sequel to this was the Bee Movie. So yeah, this dude dies by a lot of bees.
The shot of his body laying there with like 100 bees over his face.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
And like his arm when it falls is just covered in bee stings. You get another shot of just Mel losing his goddamn mind about losing his business because people are going to find out that people died here.
We're going to find out about all of these accidents.
Yeah.
The crazy amount of accidents that have befallen him.
All those bees that just flew that beehive into the restroom and stung this dude. You cut to some nonsense with Paul and Angela on the beach at night, and like he keeps trying to kiss her, and she's just like trips him and is like, I don't know, not having any of it. And as he kisses her for like the second time or something, she has this flashback of like, I guess her and Ricky. No, it wouldn't make any sense. So I guess it would have had to have been her and the boy from the beginning watching the dad and like this other dude in bed. Everything about this makes zero sense to me. Because like I guess Ricky would not have been there. It would have had to have been the two kids at the beginning that like get hit by the boat. I need this direction.
I feel like timeline wise, it would have to be Ricky, right? I
think Ricky's supposed to be older than her, but if it's like if she's seeing the dad, it had to have been before that, so it had to have been the two kids, because the dad dies at the beginning. This family's like all this shit drives me crazy. So she has this flashback of like her and like her sibling watching her dad and whoever the other guy was at the beginning of the movie, like in bed, like just caressing each other, because I'm guessing that's all they could get away with showing. She freaks out and like runs away. And you cut to the next day where the kids are playing Capture the Flag. And I believe this was supposed to be like something to like keep all of the kids together because there's like a killer loose, but like I feel like Capture the Flag where everybody's like running around trying to like find a hidden flag probably is not the best way to keep an eye on people, but I don't remember why I wrote down that Paul's a creep.
I'm gonna say because he's creepy.
I mean,
he clearly cannot take no for an answer.
I can't remember exactly why I wrote it down though, but there was some reason I wrote down Paul's a creep, but he is a creep. Maybe I was just thinking of Paul from Twilight Fauna.
So is it because he was like trying to explain himself to her or something, right? Around that point,
yeah, because
he was like trying to explain why he was being creepy and just was being even creepier doing that. And she's like, okay, fuck off now.
He's like trying to like, I don't know if he was like apologizing for whatever happened, like when she like runs away, but like some reason he was just being a creep. And then like as she goes away, Judy starts flirting with Paul again, and like you cut to Ricky, or like Angela's like walking somewhere and Ricky catches up with her and it's like, hey, I have this plan that like to go steal the flag. We just gotta go like through these woods or whatever. So Ricky and Angela start walking through the woods where they catch Judy and Paul making out.
Dun, dun.
Yeah, the betrayal. Judy's just like absolutely terrible still. Ricky like Ricky calls her like a bitch or something here. I can't remember what he calls her, but he's like basically everybody like just gets shitty with Judy and walk away, and she's just like, whatever. I'm hot shit. I was supposed to be Jane Krakowski.
I wish that had been an actual line in the film.
Nobody would have any idea what it meant for like
What?
30 years.
Yeah. Kimmy Schmidt comes out and they're like, oh.
I guess
okay.
I get it now. That was a fucking weird line. You cut to, like, I guess either later that day or the next day, Angela sitting on the beach again, watching everybody swim. Paul comes up and starts apologizing to her. Mel's just, like, standing there watching whatever's going on this beach. Ricky goes walking by, and Mel just, like, grabs him and starts screaming at him about how he knows what he did. And Mel's just fucking flat out lost his mind. Judy and Meg get tired of Angela, like, not answering them and not participating in whatever activities, and pick her up. And yes, they pick her up and like carry her towards the water as like Mel's just like accosting Ricky.
Terrible camp leadership.
Absolutely.
The owner's just accosting someone. You've got a counselor like shaking and harassing some girl. Like, Jesus Christ.
So they throw Angela in the water, who, up until this point, I never even really put together that, like, of course she's afraid of going in the water. Like her, you know, her fucking family was killed.
Yeah. It's got a pretty valid reason to not go in the water.
Another one of my favorite parts of this movie is after they throw in the water, whoever, like, the dude was that's, like, the lifeguard camp counselor, like, runs up and calls Meg a peckerhead. I laughed so hard. Oh, it's so good. Ricky, like, gets Angela out of the water, and, like, they go back and sit down, and he's, like, comforting her, and it cuts to the next night where, I guess they're having a social. I think this is where we're at. And you get this real gross scene of, like, apparently, like, Mel and Meg are some kind of couple of some sort. Because they're gonna fuck later, and it's real gross. Because Mel is easily, like, 60 years older than her.
Yes. Oh, my God. Looks very much like the Crypt Keeper.
Yes, it's very uncomfortable. Like, Meg basically is just like, you remember that dinner you promised me? And he's like, oh, yeah, I do. And Meg goes back to, like, the cabins, and she's gonna shower, but there's, like, a line of girls waiting to shower, so she's goes to, like, the empty bunks, like, cabin next to theirs, because the water's still working there, and takes a shower, and the killer stabs through what I can only guess is a paper wall, and just, like, stabs her in the back, and then just, like, slowly, like, drags the knife down.
The strength. Like, stab through a wall and drag a knife down through someone.
It's crazy. Also, there is, like, no blood when she is shown later. Well, I guess if she turns the shower head off. I was like, oh, if the water's running, I guess I could understand that. But I think, because the killer, like, washes the knife off, and then I think turns the water off and leaves. I guess one of the other camp counselors is told he has to take a bunch of, like, the younger kids camping that night, and he's pissed off about it. Angela and Paul, like, Angela shows as, like, leaving the social, and Paul, like, meets her outside and is just apologizing again. And she delivers the line, "Meet me at the waterfront after the social," which is a lyric from a Blood Brothers song that is like the only thing I can think about whenever I hear it. So, like, even just saying that, I now have that song stuck in my head. You get... oh god, I wrote Killer Vision on here like 5 times. You get like this scene of like Eddie showing up with all these kids that like I guess this was supposed to be kind of like, I guess they're camping like right next to the beach, but he's just fucking, he wants nothing to do with these little kids. And like, it's just like they're complaining immediately. Once they go to sleep, I guess a couple of them like wake him up because they're just like, we're cold, we want to go back. So like he gets up to go take them back. You get like the killer's POV of walking up to this campsite and picking up a hatchet. Mel is like running around looking for Meg because she's late for their fuck date. I mean, I'm just gonna call it what it is.
God damn it!
They're not going
Meg.
on a real date. Mel comes in to like the girls' cabin, and Judy was in there making out with some dude that she made like hide under the bed, who pushes him away at some point and was like, "Do you have to kiss so wet?" Pretty gross. Like, Mel comes in looking for Meg. Judy's just like, I don't know where she's at. The last time I saw her, she was going to take a shower next door. Mel comments that she shouldn't be reading in the dark because it'll ruin her eyes, and then leaves. And then, after Mel leaves, the dude that was in there is just like, I don't want to get caught, I'm leaving too. And she just gets all pissed off. Mel...
Leaving after you're almost caught, like, that... Come on.
And really, like, what are they going to do if he gets caught? He's not going to jail. Like, it's a summer camp. Mel goes next door and finds Meg's body and immediately just starts, like, rambling to himself about how Ricky did it. And he's going to avenge Meg. You cut back to Judy, who is now sitting in the dark, curling her hair before going to bed, which... makes 0 sense.
Not something I would do, personally, but I've also never curled my hair, so...
I can't, like...
And also, I'm a huge idiot, so... 2 disclaimers.
The door to the cabin opens, and you get this, like, weird shot of... like... is it supposed to be, like, Ricky dressed up as Angela? Like... the shot of this body in the door frame, like, also confuses me because it looks like a mix of Ricky and Angela, where I think they're still trying to play like you're not supposed to know who the killer is.
Who is it?
But like, I don't know, it looks weird and like I do not understand it. But they walk up and Judy's like, "What are you doing here?" She immediately gets fucking world starred and knocked the fuck out. It's looking like the goofiest punch. And then she gets a pillow shoved over her face and what I only can assume is a curling iron jammed into her vagina, which is absolutely horrifying.
Explicit.
Yeah. And like, I like that you get another like very like ridiculously long shot of just her hand, like the shadow of her hands. But like, how about instead of having your hands just, like, curled up in the air like this, why don't you try and, like, fucking fight this off? But, you know, Judy gets killed by a curling iron to the vagina, and the body is just dumped, like, under the bed. Eddie returns to the campsite and finds a bunch of bloody sleeping bags, where I'm guessing all of these little kids were just hacked up. Ricky shows up as the social is ending, saying that, like, whatever they had for dinner, like, made him sick, and he just needs something to eat. Runs in real quick to grab something to eat. As he's walking away, Mel grabs him and, like, drags him into the woods and then just beats the fuck out of him. And, like... like,
Vigilante just...
Yeah. It's also like so crazily like acted that his like punch, like he slaps at first and he's just double fisting like just down on this kid.
He's trying to like drive him into the ground like a railroad spike.
It's crazy.
Hit him with that double axe handle.
So like Mel just like beats the fuck out of Ricky. It's just like, I did it for you, Meg, and like goes walking off and immediately gets shot in the throat with an arrow.
I love that he just kicks the shit out of a child and just like, all right, I'm just gonna leave him off in the woods, like maybe to die. I'm like, it's fine.
Yeah, like he's just like, well, fuck it.
Yeah, whatever. Everyone else has died here. Like, I was telling them this was an accident too. Well, who cares?
So Mel gets shot in the throat with an arrow. The police show up, and like some of the camp counselors are just like, they're trying to figure out where all like everybody's at, and they realize some of the kids are missing. So like this police officer with the most obvious fake mustache of all time, like, is walking around with some of them. They're trying to figure out where the kids are at. Paul finally shows up at the beach. Angela's is like, I want to go swimming. And he's like, what about our swimsuits? And she's just like, we'll take our clothes off. So they start like, he immediately is just like, fuck yeah, starts stripping down like real quick. And so does she. The cop and like one of the counselors stumble across Ricky, who is still alive. Two of the other counselors, like Ronnie and somebody else, come walking towards the beach. And they see, like, they're walking up and they see Angela, like, stroking Paul's head. Angela has a flashback of her coming to live with Ricky, and you find out that it wasn't the little girl at the beginning of the movie that was killed. It wasn't the little boy at the beginning of the movie that was killed. Wait, no, hold on.
Yeah, it was
it was the little girl
that was killed. Yeah.
And the boy comes to live with Ricky. The mom for like Ricky's mom, technically his aunt, decided that it would be better, like, she always wanted a little girl, so she raised this little boy to be a little girl and named her Angela because it means angel. Like, so Angela is technically a boy, and you get the fucking craziest ending of just Angela's face on top
standing
of this.
there holding fucking Paul's head, and just she like slowly turns her eyes to the camera, her mouth agape, screaming, and the camera is slowly zooming out, and you see her full body, including a penis, and the counselor's like, it can't be, she's a boy. And it's just, she's standing there grunting, just
it's so
holding
weird.
A knife and Paul's severed head.
The grunts are the weirdest part of the entire thing for me, like like
all of it,
because like
the whole thing put together is just,
I guess this was like, they got some kind of like local dude to like wear this Angela mask they made, which is why the face doesn't move at all. And like, I guess he had to just get like completely hammered to like do this scene, to like get nude and film this. And so like, you just have this like of like the actor, whoever it is that's filming this scene with the mask on, is like a much darker color skin than the skin of the mask. Like, everything about it is crazy. But again, I can't imagine anybody listening to this has not seen this movie.
It's a weird one to watch in 2019 because it's super transphobic and just like, oh no.
I don't think I'd seen this movie for the first time till maybe like 8 years ago. So like immediately I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like real gross shit in this.
I'd seen it, I want to say, within the last 2 years was the first time I've seen it. And, like, I knew what the ending was, but watching it unfold is very different than just hearing about it.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's obviously problematic and, like, bad and not anything you could do today. But at the same time, it's so fucking insane and just out there to see happen, you know?
Yeah, it's like it's interesting that they instead of having it just be like a kind of typical like slasher type movie, like because a lot of them, you know, like Friday the 13th, other than like I guess the first one kind of has like that weird twist where it ends up being it's like the mom instead of like Jason or whatever, but like a lot of them don't have like a twist like that per se. It's usually just like some dude, and like really the twist is just you find out who it was or whatever, like they unmask.
Yeah.
But like I don't know, it's interesting that like way back in like '83 somebody kind of came up with this idea, and it was just like this is a good idea for a movie. I would be really interested to like I might look when we get done, maybe try to look up like reviews of this movie from like that time period.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see. I know there's like a documentary that was made about this, but I haven't seen it. I think it was part of like the box set that they released, but
I'd be very curious to watch that.
Yeah. And I don't. Is Angela in the sequels? It's been a long time. Like I think I watched all of them.
If I'm thinking correctly, she is, and she's like the main. She's like becomes the camp counselor for the camp and is still killing the kids in like 2 and 3 at least.
Okay.
And if I'm thinking correctly, they actually go and she has had like a transition like operation.
Like a reconstruction type surgery or whatever.
Yeah.
I watched them all like in a row because they're like I think the first 4 were on like Netflix at like one point when like early on when Netflix streaming stuff was starting.
Yeah.
And so like I've seen this like the first Sleepaway Camp a handful of times. I've only seen the sequels like 2, 3, and 4 once. I've never seen 5, but from what it looked like when I was going through like the credits and stuff, like a lot of people from like this movie returned to Sleepaway Camp. Like I think like the actors that played like Ricky and Paul and like stuff like that all kind of returned. I'm on 2 and 3 are on Prime right now. I might watch those. I haven't seen them in a while. But yeah, that's this fucking crazy movie. The credits are entirely too long and are just like a freeze frame of Angela's screaming face, and it's.
But it also has a fantastic theme song written solely for the movie.
Agreed. Like every movie from this time period did, and they're all amazing.
Every movie absolutely should.
I agree. I mean, I miss the days of like shit like that instead of just, you know, like everything now is just like, oh, we'll get like, you know, whatever popular songs are out right now, or you know, like we'll just get this Roadrunner Records will just give us a bunch of songs. Like I miss the days when they like somebody wrote a song for the movie specifically, which I feel like any movie from the 80s we have done has them. I feel like every movie should just have like the Return of Killer Tomatoes or Attack of the Killer Tomatoes theme song.
I really thought you were going to say Return of the Mac. I don't know why.
Or that.
I would absolutely love if every horror movie ended with Return of the Mac over the credits.
Every movie should just have like
Return of the Mac.
90s R&B. just throw Pony as your opening credits and it'd be fucking awesome. So yeah, that was this crazy movie. I'm pretty much, I gotta assume everybody's seen it, but if not, it's currently streaming on Shudder. So go watch it on Shudder. The only 2 news things I really grabbed that were at all interesting, at least to me, were that the one of the 18 versions of Child's Play that is currently in production.
I feel like I hear about a different Child's Play thing every week. First, it's an actual, like sequel to Cult of Chucky, and then it's like, no, we're also doing a reboot. Now there's a TV series, and
the TV series
there's the virtual reality game, and then there's like 2 dogs dressed as like Chucky fighting in a steel cage.
I don't approve of this dogfight version.
I didn't say I approve. I just said it's happening somewhere.
The TV show is the sequel to Cult of Chucky.
Okay, so they just decided they're going to do it as a show instead of a.
I think originally Don Mancini is his name.
Yeah.
Was like, I think he was gonna just continue doing movies. Then I think he had the idea for a TV show. And I'm sure there was probably maybe some kind of issues with like the reboot that's happening, that like maybe he was just like, I don't want to get it like confused. He's like, I'll just go to TV. But I guess Sci-Fi picked it up, and they've said, I guess like, because that news dropped like yesterday or the day before that Sci-Fi was picking it up, and a bunch of people were like, well, if Sci-Fi's doing it, like, are they going to allow like Chucky to curse? Like, how violent is it going to be or whatever? And I guess like they were just like, no, Sci-Fi's going to let us do what we want with it, which
Sweet.
is pretty awesome. And I get like I guess like the creator or maybe the producer from like Channel Zero was part of it.
Okay.
So like, I don't know, it looks pretty interesting. And Cult of Chucky was awesome, so I'm pretty stoked that they're doing something else with it.
Agreed.
And the only other thing I saw was that, like, I guess Universal is still trying to do, like, a universe.
They're still trying to do the monsters, the dark universe. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ, why?
I don't know, but they got Lai Wanal or whatever his name is from, like, the Saw movies, and, like, Jason Blum is, like, helping to, like, do, I guess, get anything going with it, but I guess they're going to do Invisible Man next.
Oh, no.
Just slightly interesting, I guess. I don't know. I will watch that, but I don't know if I'll go pay to watch it. I think that'll be like a home viewing. Cause
I saw that Tom Cruise's The Mummy was on HBO Go, and I want to hate watch it. Sounds like a great idea.
I feel like that movie would be good if Tom Cruise wasn't in it. Because like
I feel like Tom Cruise is maybe the only thing that's going to make it watchable.
I don't know. I felt like the lady that played the mummy looked pretty awesome in it, and like I don't know. That's all I really remember from it. But like, we'll just fucking bring Brandon Fraser back. Like, what are you doing? Get CGI Rock back in there, and
that's what we need. We need Dwayne Johnson playing every character in all of these movies.
All of these movies should be the Universal Monsters versus the Scorpion King.
Yes. I would have settled for just Dwayne Johnson, but
it's not even a character.
No, just he's walking through Hollywood one day and just like Creature from the Black Lagoon pops out.
He just shows up on the set of like The Tooth Fairy 2. I'd be all about that. That'd be pretty great.
Hire us, Universal. Right.
I mean, I feel like we're coming up with good ideas all the time, and nobody is coming after us yet. So
one day
that movie's gonna show up in like 3 years, and we're gonna be like, "What the fuck?"
I'm gonna be pissed. I'll be so mad.
So the next 2 weeks are gonna be kind of different. Like next week, Kit is out of town all week, so I'm dropping a episode we recorded. They got all fucked up, but I'm gonna put this episode we recorded on Mortal Kombat out there as just something to put out there, because it's actually like it's a good episode. It's just the recording is crazy.
I'm still so mad about it.
Yeah, me too. And then the week after that, we're gonna have a guest, but we're gonna do like a different kind of episode, as opposed to like just a movie. We're just gonna talk horror in general, and then
Gonna interrogate.
Yes. And then after that, we'll get back to kind of normal for a little bit and watch some garbage Jim Wynorski movie, probably.
Probably.
I think around that time would be whenever Cobra Gator's coming out, so we'll see.
Oh, Lord.
If Cobra Gator is watchable at that point, we're doing Cobra Gator.
Can only hope.
And then, I think in March we're going to do all Stephen King, which I've just been waiting to talk about it. Like,
there's a lot to talk about.
That's all, like, I think we came to the conclusion that we're gonna do an episode where we just kind of discuss the 3 versions of it. And then I think we decided Thinner, Maximum Overdrive, and Dreamcatcher.
I'm so incredibly ready to talk about Thinner.
I think Katie is currently like finishing up reading Thinner, so I was like, there's no chance you're getting me to read any of these. I got like halfway through it, and I was like, fuck, this is too long. And I was
halfway through is like 2 other regular novels.
I was listening to it, and halfway through was 28 hours.
Fuck.
And like I got to the Chinese restaurant scene, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't believe. I know, but I was just like, I can't believe I got fucking 28 more hours of this shit. Like, what the fuck? I listened to it like 3 shifts at work in a row or something, and I was like, I need a fucking break. This is just too long.
I managed to finish it in 2 weeks, and that's easily the most absurd reading schedule I've ever kept.
It's
a fucking 1,200-page book in 2 weeks.
That book is entirely too long, but we'll talk about that in March.
The good news is, it doubles as a weapon.
Yeah, you bludgeon somebody to death with that thing.
My home has never been burgled because I keep a 20-pound book.
You have just Beware of It novel sign on the front of your door.
I'm like, Jesus, I've been hit with that, it hurts.
Yeah. So that'll be the next couple weeks. It'll be fun. And we have at least 2 weeks where Kit and I don't have to watch garbage, and we're still going to end up doing it anyway, so. I got a
state of being.
I got a stack of fucking Ernest movies I bought for $1 sitting, waiting to be watched. Alright, so you can follow us on Twitter at I Hope You Suffer, Facebook at I Hope You Suffer Pod, Instagram at I Hope You Suffer Podcast, email I Hope You Suffer Podcast at gmail.com. I don't know, fucking review us if you want. I don't care. You're gonna do it if you want, and you're not going to if you don't want to. I'm not gonna beg people for it. I'm just begging Shudder to fucking sponsor us at this point. Keep trying to sign up for Shudder with a fucking IHYS code until it works.
One day, a boy's dream.
Just crash Shudder servers.
We're gonna get our fucking account suspended.
Yeah, like both of you were kicked off the service.
Fuck these idiots, get out of here.
Alright, I hope you suffer, but why?
But why?
When I look into your eyes, it comes as no surprise. You're slipping